Welcome back to another episode of Cactus Quest. I'm your host, Hunter, as always. And in today's episode, I'm going to be showing you guys the front yard of a woman that I just met at the Intercity show, who is actually a fan of the channel. We got to talking, and she was telling me that she planted out her yard with succulents, and a neighbor admired it so much that they entered her into a contest, which she ended up winning. So I was like, wait a minute, let me see some of these photos of your front yard. And when she showed them to me, I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to do a video. So we're gonna take a look at her front yard and kind of figure out exactly how she started. And you'll see, it's pretty nuts. And then you can see what her genesis story is, essentially. So without further ado, let's go link up with Diane, and we'll show you what she's got going on. This installation is, again, about a year old?
A little over a year.
Little over a year. And you were telling me that you started with a mound.
Started with a mound right there.
This one. So, I mean, and one of the things I was thinking about after I looked at the yard is, like, a lot of people, because I saw what it looked like beforehand, and dead serious. So you can take a look at the yard right here. This is what it looked like beforehand. It was all grass, courtesy of Google Maps. But as you can see now, I mean, it's completely covered, totally diverse array of cactus, succulents, aloes, everything. And so a lot of people might drive by a yard like this and think to themselves, God, I would love to have something like that. But, like, I mean, it's a little daunting. You see all these different beautiful plants, and if you don't know the plants and you don't know a landscaper, it's kind of hard to figure out where to start.
We started with a mound, a Draco tree, and a rock.
That's this guy here, right?
And this big boulder right here.
This boulder?
Yep.
So now how did you get the boulders in here?
Forklift.
Forklift.
They were dropped right here on the curb, and then we got a forklift and we drove them over here, and a lot of pushing and shoving, and that's how it started.
So from when you started with the mound, how long did it take from when you put the Draco in until it essentially looked like it does now?
2 weeks.
Really?
Probably less. Yeah. And I have to say that Artie at Desert Creations,
yeah,
when I said I want to rip out all my grass, take out all my trees, I said, where should I start? And he said, just start with a mound.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That's what he said. And that's what I did. I started right there. And I couldn't have done this without my friend Jeff Strauss with JS Designs.
Okay, awesome.
He worked with me, and I told him exactly what I wanted, and he brought it to life.
And so, what you started planting it out, but did he have all the plants, or you kind of started buying the plants?
Oh, no, I had all the plants.
So you were housing them. You had a little staging area on the side of the house over there?
Yeah, they were on the side of the house. They went all the way to the backyard. They went around the pool. They came back around this side. They came down this side. And my husband thought I needed my head examined.
I mean, you know, we may all need our heads examined to some degree, you know?
Probably.
So how long were you shopping around and buying plants?
Probably for like a year and a half, and just hoarding them on the side of the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you told me that you've been into gardening basically your whole life.
Since I was in 6th grade. Well, it wasn't gardening like this.
Well,
it was,
that's what I'm saying.
we were doing plants and vegetables, and I was hooked. And then as I got older, and I was like 12 or 13, I mean, of course, you know, I loved hydrangeas, I loved roses. And then about 25 years ago, I just started to not like that anymore, and I loved the succulents.
Okay.
You know, the aeoniums and all the soft stuff.
Right.
And then in the past, like probably 8 to 10 years, I started to really get into the cactus and the agaves and the aloes. I love them.
And you got some nice agaves in the yard too. You got the praying hands here.
Correct.
And then this is, my agave friends are gonna be mad at me if I get this wrong, but this is Perii truncata.
Correct.
I know some of the stuff.
Desert dragon.
Okay. See, now this is a mangave, correct?
Yes, mangave. Lavender lady.
So did you know that mangaves, they're all just agave now? So what's the thing that they're actually mixed with? I saw one.
They're mixed with a manfreda.
Manfredas. So so it's all agave now.
Oh, okay.
Manfredas are now agaves, which is
pretty
pretty crazy because, like, I found a manfreda while we were in San Luis Potosi, and I was with Kelly Griffin, and he got super excited. I had no idea what it was because it was just this one little turquoise leaf with like purple dots coming out of the underneath of this bush, and he's got all excited. It was this Manfreda, and they have recently been, I guess, based on genetics, they have been pushed into agave. So they're all just agave.
Oh, so we can't call them that anymore?
Still, call them whatever you want.
Okay.
You know, just don't call them late for dinner.
Well, and I will tell you this though, the traditional agaves, they flower and they die, but these mangaves don't. And I was told that they do, and I've had like 6 of them flower, and I cut the stalk off and left them to see what they do, and they're just thriving.
Interesting. From the same rosette?
Correct.
Wow. You get the Pilosa cereus. That aeonium, I love it when it grows over the rock like that.
Yeah.
It starts to look, have you ever seen pictures of aeoniums in the wild? They grow like on cliffs, completely flat to the rock. I never
Incredible.
really cared for aeoniums until I saw those pictures of them, and at that point, I had a whole new level of respect for them because they are seriously tough plants. It's pretty impressive.
This is center of attention. I don't know what's going on with him. He was all black when I got him. There's another center of attention over there.
This right here to me looks kind of like sun stress, and it's right where the sun is beating
Could
on
be.
it right now.
See the new one?
Yeah,
That was
this one.
The color.
Oh yeah, you can see the color right there. That's actually that's like the reverse coloring of the one I saw. This is all purple with a little bit of the turquoise modeling, and the one I saw was all turquoise with a little bit of the purple modeling.
Beautiful.
Not too far away from where these grow, actually, which this is Cactus Steinzii or Pilosis. Beautiful.
And this is a mission to Mars.
Is that so? Is this
And I got-
another mangave?
Yeah, and I got news for you. If you plant that, give it a little bit of room, because when I planted that, it was in a small pot, and when we put it in, this is what it did in 1 year.
So what? When you say a small pot, like a 5-gallon?
Yeah, probably a 5-gallon. Look at it. Looks
And
like
so-
it would have legs and run away.
So what's your, now we're in the San Fernando Valley. You don't want to be too specific, but we're in the San Fernando Valley here. We've been temperature-wise, we actually live pretty close to each other. It's been hot. It's been like 100 plus most days for
106,
the last
105.
like, what, week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks or something like that. So given that kind of climate, it does cool off at night, but what's your watering like for the front yard?
With this
time
heat,
of
I've
year?
watered a couple of times a week. I've had to.
Okay.
But besides that, I mean, there was a point after this installation went in, I didn't water for 8 months.
And so do you have like an irrigation system, or
Yes,
are you
I
out
do.
here with a hose?
I do have an irrigation system.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself having to do a little hand watering as well? Or is that pretty
Well,
effective?
sometimes I just prefer to do it because I want to be out here.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah, for sure. I don't blame you at all. I would spend tons of time, like I told you yesterday, I'm like, my neighbors would just see me out here nodding in agreement with my plants. If this is I'd be like, oh yeah, it looks great. It looks great. Every day they'd be like, he's out there again, you know? And eventually I'd have like a ZZ Top beard, you know? It'd come down and I'd just be putting around, just going, yeah. Yeah, it looks great. I love
Now,
it. And
where
I
would-
actually like how you've implemented, you've got like some container arrangements within the
Yeah.
garden too.
With the euphorbias there, yeah.
I noticed that you have some pretty interesting, I don't know, landscape rocks?
Landscape crystals.
Landscape crystals. I like it.
Yeah.
Very, very
Well,
cool.
that's a small one.
I know.
The other ones are huge.
So what is this exactly?
It's a quartz,
Nice. So
and
you
it's
got the
from
quartz.
Arkansas.
Quartz from Arkansas and Hoodia gordonii from, I believe, South Africa, somewhere in Africa. I could be wrong. And you know what's actually cool is that as these columnar cacti grow in, and the columnar euphorbia, as those grow in and get tall and start to, you know, form a candelabra, they'll actually change the microclimate of this section of your yard. Because all this section right now that's getting blistering full sun, all of these things will slowly over the years, they'll slowly drift into a shadier, cooler little microclimate, because all these things, this is gonna get taller, that euphorbia ingens is gonna, I mean, that thing will get gargantuan, and so will the Cereus peruvianus, the Peruvian apple cactus. So that's kind of cool.
I think
it'll
it won't
change
mind
what
it.
you can plant out here.
Yeah.
Over time, you can put things out here that you maybe couldn't do right now because they'll be able to do better with some shade.
More plants.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
More plants.
So then, okay, so you're watering. Now, what about nutrients and feeding? What kind of fertilizing are you doing out here?
When we planted and put everything in, we did an underfeeding.
Okay.
Of these huge pellets that we got at the irrigation and landscape store.
Okay.
You buy a box of them for like 150 bucks.
Gotcha.
And we used those, and we used a lot.
Okay.
You know, and I was scared at first because, you know, you hear people say, oh, you know, cactus, they don't need to be fed. You don't need to worry about them. Certain things don't want any nutrients. You'll kill them. But we just underfed everything, and this yard does not look like it did a year ago.
Right.
I have pictures. I mean, this thing has tripled in size.
Okay, and then so beyond those pellets, when you're watering, you're doing pure, just hose water.
I'm just giving them hose water, but we have mixed up some concoctions.
Okay.
In buckets.
Gotcha.
Some like cactus juice.
Okay.
And we've fed a few of them in the yard.
Okay.
But I kind of stay away from the columnar cactus here because I just feel like I really don't need to feed them that much. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I would think out of all of the cacti in the yard, those are probably the ones that are going to be the most nutrient hungry.
Really?
Yeah, because they're the ones that are going to put on the most growth the quickest, and growing up, they all get the biggest.
Well, they have gotten big.
Yeah, and they'll all get big.
These things were like 10 inches tall when I put them in, and look at them now.
Yeah. And then what about pests? I mean, in the greenhouse, you know, you don't have a greenhouse, but in my greenhouse, I have a variety of different things that I've got to contend with, from spider mites to other kinds of mites to mealybugs to ants that track in the mealybugs.
You know what? The only thing that I've come across out here are these, and they're not those weevils, those agave weevils, those
Right.
black, but they're black, and I find them on these guys right here. And they almost look like kind of outer spacious.
Are they like beetle
They
type of
kind of
things?
have a look like that, but they're not.
Are they like spade shaped?
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what those
Yeah.
are.
I don't know what
Just talking to
they are.
somebody.
All I did was squirt some insecticidal soap on them, and they
Okay.
just dropped to the ground and died.
Gotcha. So aside from that, that's pretty much it.
That's all I've seen out here. Yeah.
Okay. So what is now, we talked about it. What is the award that your neighbor, tell me about that.
It was for like a beautification.
Yeah.
And you had to start from, you had to have everything gone. And so I killed everything. The grass was gone. I took out 3 birch trees that were like 20 feet tall. They were all dying from the beetle.
Yeah.
They were rotting.
Yeah.
Over the years. I had to cut off limb after limb. So I took everything out. And so when we were finished, he said, I want to enter you in a contest. And I said, well, what do I have to do? And he goes, nothing. And I said, I'm down. And so he entered me in the contest, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then one Sunday they came and they said, you won. And I said, well,
cool.
what did I win? And they go, well, you won the best of the best. You won the best of all the houses they went to. This was their favorite.
That's cool.
And then not only did I win that, I won for the rocks and the best use of rocks and boulders. The crystals are over here, the bigger ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, you know, you've seen my pottery. A lot of my pottery, I try to make it look like the rocks that I see out in the desert, because that's one of the things that I absolutely love, is how the plants will grow like out of the rocks and all, you know, that kind of stuff. I absolutely like, I love it, love it, love it. So all of these rocks, like right here, where you've got this just like clearly grown over, like it looks, you know, I don't know where that plant originates from in the wild, but it looks, I'm sure, much like it would in the wild. And then you've got this, which literally looks like when you're waiting in line for the Matterhorn at Disneyland. Like there should be like an abominable snowman, you know, animatronic beast growling at you or something. What did you say this was here?
Green calcite.
Green calcite. Yeah, that's gorgeous. I love this thing.
Agave cornelius.
You have another one over there.
Well, it's always better to get 2.
I think you probably, it depends on why, because I always buy multiples for seed production. And so I'll buy 2 and I'll realize I probably should have bought like 4 or 6.
I like to buy more than one because I like to put them in different spots. Because inevitably something always goes wrong and one dies and one lives. And
this is, the leaves on this are just, this is like a really, Agave Cornelius.
correct.
That's awesome.
And this Hesper aloe right here is called brake lights. And
So-
I prefer it over the gigantic one that has the pink flower. The flower color is more vibrant and it just sort of stays at a nice size. And it flowers for months.
These are so cool. Any final tips or tricks that you could give to somebody who's starting the front yard quest?
Yeah, start with a mound
There you go.
and get rid of your grass because
Perfect.
I mean it's nicer to look at something like this than a bunch of grass that probably in 2 more years they're going to tell us, okay, stop watering.
Yeah, of
again.
course. 100%. Yeah, hashtag kill your lawn. I mean, you know where grass came from. Grass came from the British aristocracy. You know?
Oh.
They just mow down forests so that they could have, clean areas. It's not for us.
No.
Burn it down. This is not a grassland. There's no
Desert.
grass.
It's a desert.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you all watching, subscribing, coming up to me at Inner City or wherever and telling me that you watch the channel. I love that. And until the next time, make sure you like, subscribe, share. Send it to your grandmother. Send it to your next door neighbor. And until the next time, peace.